Success does many things to people. To me, it brought about not only accomplishments, but it brought about pride.
Every home Alan Youngblood built, he built well.
I would look at myself and think that these accomplishments were absolutely all mine. Never even imagined that possibly in the background, there could have been a God who was directing my life.
Alan ran a successful business constructing multi-million-dollar commercial buildings and luxury mansions, and everyone knew not to cross Alan Youngblood.
I became a person of anger, explosive, almost to the point of danger sometimes. Anger became the thing that ruled my life in so many ways. It gave me power. It gave me position.
And even though Alan went to church, his beliefs kept him far from God.
The way I saw God was that He was a God that knew everything that I did and saw every sin that I ever committed, and possibly writing them down in a book in heaven. I found it impossible to love a God who was out to get you.
Then one night on New Year's Eve, Alan went to church. As he stood at the communion rail, he says his soul was transported to another place, where he heard a voice that sounded like rushing waters.
The scripture came to me, and it says, if you say you love God and you hate your brother, you are no more than a liar and a murderer.
At that moment, he repented of his sins and experienced the forgiveness of God, something he had never really felt before. Alan was then carried away to a beautiful city with a gate made of pearl.
But when I walked through those gates, my mind could not even conceive what I would see. Have we read about the streets of gold? Yes, but they were different. They were suspended like a mighty highway with no visible means of suspension. As I neared that area, I saw cascading out of the throne of God a massive waterfall from which I believe flows the river of life.
Then Alan says he saw a friend named Jerry. Jerry had died years earlier in a fiery plane crash, but here in his vision, Jerry appeared normal, wearing a blue suit.
He turned and he held his hand and pointed toward the top of the platform of the throne of God. I thought, oh, am I going to see God?
A few moments later, Alan says he was standing as he had been at the front of the church. Alan's wife, Barbara, remembers what happened.
I didn't know what he was doing. It was, troubled me. I thought, oh my goodness, this is embarrassing. He's gone to sleep.
I said, honey, I did not go to sleep. And I can't tell you what happened to me until some other time.
For days after his heavenly encounter, Alan continued to be affected by what he remembered.
His whole attitude was one of softness. The hard look that he had was gone.
Alan began to speak publicly about his experience in heaven. At one meeting, he saw the widow of his friend Jerry, the man in the blue suit that he had seen in heaven. As Alan described the scene, Jerry's widow spoke up. She revealed she had given the blue suit to the funeral director to put into the coffin, even though her husband's body had been so badly burned. That suit was the same suit Alan says he saw Jerry wearing in heaven. That's when Alan realized why he had seen his friend in heaven.
To go back home, to tell one woman, there is a God, there is a heaven, there's life after death, and Jerry's there.
Alan continues to tell others that heaven is real in a new book called Voice of Many Waters.
God's greatest desire is that you know who He is and how He is and how much He loves you. It's impossible not to fall in love with Him when you really begin to have that relationship, the greatest relationship you will ever know.